The Ammons haunting case. The house of 200 demons. What if I told you a family in Indiana lived in a house so terrifying that police officers, doctors, and even priests refused to step inside again? This is not just another haunted house story. This is a documented nightmare. A nightmare so real, it became known as the House of 200 Demons. Tonight, we begin the chilling story of the Ammons family and the horrors that unfolded inside 3860 Carolina Street, Gary, Indiana. December 2011. The Ammons family, Latoya Ammons, her 3 children, and her mother Rosa, moved into a modest rental home. At first glance, it was nothing unusual, a small, one-story house with pale walls and a creaking floor. But within days of moving in, strange things began to happen. Swarms of large, black flies gathered at the porch in the middle of winter. Footsteps echoed at night, even when no one was awake. Doors creaked open by themselves. Latoya tried to brush it off. Old houses make noises, she thought. But this was no ordinary house. One night, Rosa woke to the sound of footsteps in the living room. She walked out, expecting to find one of the kids. Instead, she froze. A shadowy figure stood at the back of the room. Tall, silent, watching. And then it vanished into thin air. When Rosa told Latoya, she dismissed it. But the kids, they too had been hearing voices. Whispers that called their names in the dark. Weeks later, the activity grew violent. The children began to change. The youngest boy sat in a closet, speaking to someone only he could see. The daughter told her teachers that she was being choked by unseen hands. The eldest son would suddenly growl, his eyes rolling back, his voice no longer his own. Neighbors began avoiding the house. Even visitors refused to stay past sundown. April 2012. One of the boys suddenly convulsed. His body twisted unnaturally. Rosa and Latoya rushed to hold him down, but his strength was inhuman. And then, in a voice that wasn't his, he laughed. A chilling, guttural sound that made Rosa fall back in terror. The boy whispered, "You cannot stop us." Desperate, Latoya called priests, doctors, and even psychics. A local church told her the house was possessed. A clairvoyant warned that over 200 demons infested the home. And doctors? They found nothing physically wrong with the children. One night, after a particularly violent outburst, the children were taken to the hospital. And here, something happened that would shock even trained medical staff. In the hospital room, one of the boys suddenly smiled. He walked backward up the wall. Yes, walked backward up the wall. Then he flipped over his grandmother and landed perfectly on the floor. Doctors and nurses screamed. One nurse ran out of the room. The physician later signed a sworn affidavit. This was no illusion. I saw it with my own eyes. The Department of Child Services got involved. The Department of Child Services got involved. Police officers were sent to the house. And what they found was disturbing. Wet boot prints appeared across the floors, though no one had entered. Audio recorders captured eerie voices whispering, "Leave now." In the basement, officers discovered a dark, oily substance that seemed to seep from nowhere. One officer later admitted, "I am a man of the law, but what I saw in that house still haunts me." After the hospital incident, the Department of Child Services decided the children were in danger. The kids were temporarily removed from Latoya's custody, but even in foster care, strange things continued. Teachers reported that one child levitated off his chair. Foster parents claimed the children would sit up at night, their eyes wide open, whispering to figures in the corners of the room. Social workers became uneasy. Some refused to enter the Ammons house for inspections. Desperate for spiritual help, Latoya turned to Father Michael Maginot, a local Catholic priest. At first skeptical, He agreed to visit the house with police and child services workers. As soon as they stepped inside, strange things began. Lights flickered violently. A slimy black liquid dripped from the blinds. Their breath turned cold, though the furnace was on. The priest declared, "This house is possessed." During one investigation, police officers took photos inside the house. When the pictures were developed, one image showed a shadowy figure standing in the window of the empty house. Another captured a ghostly face peering out from the blinds. These photos became public evidence, shocking skeptics across Indiana. One officer later admitted, "I will never forget that house. Evil lived there." Father Maginot performed the first minor exorcism ritual on LaToya herself. Her body trembled, her voice deepened, and she screamed, "They don't want to leave." Neighbors heard the wails echoing down the street. But the demons were not finished. That night, LaToya collapsed, and Rosa swore she saw a shadow crawling across her daughter's body. The activity turned dangerous. Furniture moved on its own. The children's eyes rolled back as they cursed in languages they had never learned. LaToya felt invisible hands pushing her into her bed, holding her down for hours. The case gained media attention, and even the Catholic Diocese of Gary got involved. Because of the severity of the case, Father Maginot requested permission from the Vatican for a full exorcism, a rare authorization in modern times. Approval was granted. The battle for LaToya's soul began. In the church rectory, Father Maginot placed a crucifix on LaToya's forehead. The moment he began to write, she convulsed violently. Her voice changed, hissing, "We are many." The smell of sulfur filled the room. The priest commanded, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I order you to leave." For 2 hours, LaToya writhed and screamed. Witnesses said her eyes rolled back until only white remained. Finally, silence. She collapsed unconscious. After multiple exorcism sessions, the torment began to fade. The children stopped convulsing. The house grew quieter. Eventually, the family moved out of the Carolina Street home. From that day on, the hauntings ceased. But for the police officers, social workers, and priests who entered that house, the memory never left them. The house at 3860 Carolina Street still stands. For years, it remained empty. Locals crossed the street rather than walk past it. In 2014, paranormal investigator Zach Bagans purchased the home and filmed a documentary inside. The crew reported terrifying experiences. After filming, Bagans had the house demolished in 2016, claiming the evil was too dangerous to remain standing. Today, the land is empty, but those who live nearby still whisper at night. That was the house of 200 demons. You've just heard one of the most chilling and well-documented possession cases in American history, backed by police reports, hospital affidavits, and even the Catholic Church. Was it truly demons or mass hysteria? The truth may never be known, but one thing is certain. Those who witnessed it will never forget. If you enjoyed this deep dive into real horror, make sure to subscribe to The Boogeyman, where we bring you terrifying, true stories from the shadows of reality. Because here, the darkness never sleeps.